Hey, so you can barely see me because the lighting in this room is shitty, and I don't have an overhead light. But what this video is essentially an episode that was supposed to go up but couldn't due to audio quality. Story is a lot of things have been happening, going on with the channel these past couple of weeks, so Marvelite has been having some trouble too, rounding up people and getting people together and just scheduling conflicts and all of that bullshit. But I still want to post this one, and if I can get the audio from, I want to post one of the other ones too. That's actually, we've had a couple episodes from time to time that go missing, but so that you can actually get my opinion on it. Here is the original, what was supposed to be the spoiler cast in episode 88. So hope you guys enjoy it. And if you do, like, comment, subscribe. You can still drop Ask Marvelites here, and I will bring them up at the next episode that I'm on. So, yeah. Later. What's going on, people? It's your boy Will here, and rather than doing this by myself, I actually found a friend who will be joining me. So, do you want to introduce yourself to the people that don't know who you are?
Hello, everyone. I am Berenice Munoz. If you don't speak Spanish, Bernice Munoz.
Yeah, so she's a friend of mine and also a fan of the show. Sadly, it's not Waru, but we got the next best thing, a girl.
Thanks. I'm glad I'm still filling requirements here.
I mean, you're definitely filling the void that is sadly left by Luke and Michael.
I'll try my best.
Yes, but as we usually do here, I just want to ask you, how are you doing right now?
Pretty good. Good morning to the world, unless you're watching this at night, I suppose. And hello, good night.
Good evening.
Good evening. That is the word, right? It's too early.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, I mean, I've been spending the morning drinking coffee and eating breakfast. My family just left out to go get groceries, so that's fun. Oh goodness, I got scared for a moment that it stopped. But yeah, so you're doing well.
I'm doing well. I thought you said you got scared for a moment. You heard like a random noise in the midst of your house.
My house being haunted by the Spider-Man of the past.
Yes, exactly.
And boy, howdy, if that isn't the classic segue, we can. I think that's going to be the focus of this episode. Is going to be discussing Spider-Man. So I'll say in 5 words or less, what did you think about Homecoming before we go into spoilers and whatnot?
In 5 words or less. Conflicted, yet interested.
Okay. I guess for me, and the people, my mother and my best friend asked me what I thought about it, and the way I said it was just so light speed. I'm just like phenomenal. Anyways, like at least for me. But what has you conflicted but interested about Homecoming?
I think the biggest thing is I can't grasp how it's the whole appearance of Tony Stark. I feel I know a lot of people are like, he was in it just the right amount, but I think for me, I feel like he was in it a little too much, to the point where he kind of stole the show a little bit,
I mean, that was my concern because they marketed it that way, and I will give them credit. They did not blow every surprise for the movie, because there was one that actually got me, but it's a spoiler show. Fuck it, we can just talk about whatever we want. So
yeah, go for it. I think I know what you're talking about, though.
The one with Liz being Vulture's kid actually like blew my pants off, had my jaw drop for like when he opened the door. I audibly said in the theater, I'm like, oh shit.
In my theater showing, including myself, everyone went like there was this audible gasp of like no one saw that coming. That was a really good twist. Like
we had the same one in mind.
So it was definitely like I was very surprised. I was very interested by that, and I thought that was a really good thing to do on behalf of Marvel. Like whoever wrote that in, you did an amazing job.
Yes. I'm also happy that he didn't die. I really, really liked Michael Keaton in this movie.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think I turned over to the person I was watching this with, and I'm like, wait, is this the first Marvel villain to not die?
I think he's one of maybe 3.
Okay.
I know one of Iron Man's didn't. The dude that runs AIM is alive.
Can we send him like a little trophy? Congratulations, surviving a Marvel.
Way to go, Birdman! You lived.
Yay! I honestly was like, if he dies, I will literally get up right now and just walk out because that would have made me so upset. For the same reason that I really do like Michael Keaton. I agree with you. He's really, really great and was cast really, really great for this role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you on that one because I think Michael Keaton did a great job just conveying everything. He actually made me. I remember as a kid, I read the first 14 issues of Spider-Man I have somewhere, and they're like super old being like 2006. So I have one of the old issues with Vulture, who is like completely different because he's just like kind of a crotchety old bastard, but a bit of a curmudgeon and seems like a little bit of a Luddite. But this one is just like, this one makes you actually feel kind of sympathetic for him.
Oh, definitely. I was totally on Team Adrian. Like, I was just like, you know what? I totally see what you're doing here, and I get it. Like, you do you, buddy. At the end of the day, like, because think about it. At the end of the day, he's not really hurting anybody. I mean, maybe down the line, but he's just selling weapons, you know? Like, what's the difference between him and Stark? And I know he makes this argument. He's like, what's the difference between what I did and what Stark did? Like,
it's like, well, Stark has capitalism on his side. You have
Stark has, exactly, pretty much. Stark has lawyers on his side, and he does not. So, but I was definitely, and I like the fact that he's also not like, you know how most villains kind of tend to want to, like, I'm just going to take over the world, and they're not very, like, planned out, you know, ideas. I like the fact that him was like, I'm going to do this below the radar and keep all of my men in check. Like, it was a business, like, industry that he was starting to create. And I'm sure had it not been for Pete coming in for that, what is it called? Like, in Scooby-Doo, for those teens and that mangy mutts or whatever.
Oh, yeah. The meddling kids and that
the meddling kids,
Spider-Man.
Exactly, that meddling Spider-Man and his sidekick friends.
The guy in the chair.
And the guy in the chair. He would have gotten away with it. But, yeah, I was like, this was and to be honest, it was a good industry. Like, who else is going to clean up all this mess that all these superheroes and aliens make? You know, starting from the first Iron Man movie, like, it seems like almost every year, New York is getting destroyed. So, like, people don't want to clean all that shit up. Why not have someone else do it and pay someone else to do it?
I also enjoy the fact that he was like, he actually showed some restraint because notice that he really didn't want to do that last idea until he thought it was necessary. He's like, no, he's like, what are you, crazy? I don't want to do that, like, anti-grav filter thing. Like, I don't want to do this big heist job. And then it got to the point, it's like, okay, I need to do this for, like, the money to sustain my family.
Exactly. And it was all for the family. And I really like it, since we can get into the spoilers here. At the end of the film, I do like the fact that he was the man of honor, I guess you could say, because he's like, I have been bested by Spider-Man. I'm not going to reveal his identity because, you know,
I want to kill him myself.
Do you think that's how you interpret it? I kind of interpret like, you know what? He's doing his own thing. Like, I kind of see that my way was not probably the best way about going about it, but I have been bested. That's how I interpreted it.
I'd say it's a mix. I think there's one part of him that's like, I think it's
I'm going to get him later on.
He beat me. I don't want other people to, like, go after what is for. It's like a personal vendetta, essentially.
Okay. I could definitely see that, especially because if someone else goes after him, you don't get, like, the happiness of, like, how I brought him down.
Yeah, when he had to do the whole, I gotta do the dad talk with Pete, and you see that gun come up, I'm like, he's about to shoot this teenager in the backseat of his car.
I was literally, like, honestly, Michael Keaton freaks me the fuck out. Like, he's the type of person who I will see and, like, play his cards right. I will probably pee my pants, like, honestly. But, so my face was probably the same as Peter Parker's. I'm just like, oh my god, what is he gonna do?
But at the same time, like seeing him interact with it, and it really shows how good Keaton is. Because you see him go from, like, before he figures out that Pete is Spider-Man, he's just a dad.
Exactly, and a good dad, from what it seems like it.
With, like, a lovely home and a beautiful family. Like, he's like, all right, Gumdrop. I'm like, this is the most adorable like, they did kind of feel like a family for the few minutes they were on screen. I guess we can talk about some of the other background characters before we get into, I guess, the major ones. Like, we have the revelation that of Michelle Jones. My friends call me MJ.
Yeah, MJ.
What friends? You guys, I guess. Which is kind of sad.
Yeah, poor Michelle. She could do so much better. I'm kidding. I loved her as a character. She was so funny, like really good. I think they spent a good amount of time on her without making it all about her. And like you could definitely see how they will all inevitably become best buddies just because like she kind of stalks them down, but like tries to pretend that she's not. Kind of like, oh, we just all happen to be here, even though I've like raced 10 miles to be here or whatever. And I just think that was like so adorable, so funny. And I like the fact that she does like diss them as well. So I'm guessing she will not let any of their BS fly. Like, yeah.
And the thing I'm realizing is that when you take a step back, aside from, I want to say, Peter and Adrian, the supporting cast actually isn't in there that much. Like, they give the supporting cast an equal amount of screen time, but like they don't have that much screen time. Like, Aunt May was in it scattered. Michelle was in it scattered. Honestly, Ned was probably the lead supporting member, but it's funny when you see all the promotional and everything else for it, where you'll see Ned, Peter, Flash, MJ, and Liz. And I'd say Liz and Ned are in there the most. Because at most, I'd say Michelle had a total 7 minutes. Flash had less than that, which I didn't mind Flash, sort of, because I know what type of school Pete's going to, and it's basically, he's not the typical bully, like a jock bully, and I didn't have that at my high school. What we had were the elitist rich douchebags who drove their parents' cars before they got their own, like, personal Lexus or Bentley or some shit like that. And calling him Penis Parker is kind of whack. So I get the type of dude that Flash is. I can't see him as, like, Venom down the road, but I can see him as the type of bully. Like, if you go to a school full of nerds, a nerd can be fit. I know, I played lacrosse with them. They're not that big.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Especially, it fits with the type of school setting that Peter was going to, because he's going to, like, this specialized kind of, like, genius high school type of thing, like a private high school. So it definitely makes sense that you would have, and I totally get where you're coming from, like those elitist jerks who are like, oh, look at me, I have this, like you said, it's like Bentley. I drive my dad's Bentley because it's like his third Bentley, so you know he doesn't care. I can just take it; it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, you have poor Peter Parker, who's like, I have to bike everywhere.
See, it'd be like, and it'd be bad because, you know, it's like, oh, Penis Parker, that's funny, but if you called him like Peter Poverty, they'd be like, Flash, don't be that guy. But you can see the moments come out where he's like a selfish dick. Like, he climbed out the elevator shaft and put the trophy first. I'm like, the whole time I'm just like, dude, just fuck you.
No, when he literally goes, save my trophy. I'm like, are you for reals right now? First of all, it's not your trophy. It's the team's trophy. And second of all, you're literally going to put your life on the line for the sake of saving the trophy? Like, let me die, but don't let the memory of my wicked, I don't know, decathlon win live forever. I'm like, is this really how you want to be remembered? That's kind of
Mind you, Michelle won that decathlon tournament, too, because Pete wasn't
there. Exactly. She basically, she won the lightning round. She did the winning answer. So it's like, if it's anybody's trophy, it's definitely Michelle's trophy, not his. But yeah, yep. I liked him. He was endearing as like
the douche.
As a douche, yeah. I put him up there with like Joffrey, honestly.
And of course he's a DJ and he wears the pop collared shirts and the jacket.
Oh, that made me cringe. I think that just brought me back to like my high school age when popping collars was cool. You're just like, oh god. I definitely had like secondhand cringe attacks
Yeah.
on watching this film, whether it was with that or just like the way Peter Parker is in general. Like I was like,
Mm-hmm.
But I think
Let's see.
he
Who else
was
do we have?
played really well.
Yeah. Who else do we have? We have Liz. I loved Liz. Liz was gorgeous. Can we
She
talk
was
about how
so
pretty this
gorgeous,
cast is?
definitely. I'm sorry?
Can we talk about how pretty this cast is? It's a very attractive cast.
That's true, definitely. Everybody, I'm just like, oh. And not only, like, that seemed to be the general consensus. Like, a lot of people were like, oh my god, and I think I heard someone actually yell in my theater screening, she's hot! And I'm just like, dude. She's playing an 18-year-old. I'm kind of, I'm conflicted in that form because I'm like, she's playing an 18-year-old. She's not. I'm sure she's older.
Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly how old
Laura
she is.
Harrier is 27, which is
Okay.
older than me, so I don't feel
Holy
as
crap,
bad.
she does not look 27. Oh my god.
No, she does not. I'm like, oh, that's a grown-ass woman that pays her bills, like.
For reals, yeah. Yikes.
But I really liked Liz. I also liked that they didn't make her, like, the snooty girl who was, like, teenager and stuff. Like, well, not teenager, like cheerleader.
So she's a popular kid, yeah, so it could have been so
Yeah.
easy to fall into that death trap of, like, the kind of, like, oh my god, I have everything that I've ever wanted, and, yeah, speaking in, like, Valley Girl accent, yeah.
Yeah, she's actually kind of layered, wherein she's popular, but she's also smart. She's on the homecoming committee. Like, she was a senior, I think?
She was a senior, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that I did laugh though when Pete's like, I kind of have a crush on you. She's like, oh, I knew. He's like, huh?
But then again, like this is the guy who at the beginning of the film when Liz was like first introduced, he's like, we should stop staring because it's gonna get kind of creepy. And they're like, they literally just like stare at her. Like, how could she not know? She's not dumb, and that's that's kind of the one thing that I really like. They didn't make her very like damsel in distress. Like she has like a level head, and she is looking towards the future, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm not so sure what I want to do with my life, but like this school is really good, and it's going to prepare me for blah blah blah. And I do like how at the end, Pete kind of is like, so can we like be together? I'll visit you sometime in Oregon. Was it? I think it was Oregon.
I think so. It's like Pete, I'm going to Oregon.
Yeah, exactly. And she was just like, you need to get all your shit together, and then you can call me. And I was just like, yes, I wanted to clap. I'm like, yes, you do you, girl. You figure your shit out, Pete. Come on.
Especially with, like, your dad about to go on trial and all that stuff. One thing, too, that actually caught me off guard. This is the first time, I think, in the Marvel movies where we've seen two F words.
Yeah.
1 and 2. They cut them. They bleeped out the first one because it was the news, and the second one was right at the end from Aunt May. And they cut it off. I'm like, this is the first time we've gotten open fucks in a Marvel movie, which universe, I think the way the characters were written actually does fit. The only thing I think that's slightly off is they would use a little bit more obscenities because people would be like, oh crap. I'm like, nah, Pete would say shit if he was like a kid, a 15-year-old in 2016 because it's 2 months after Civil War.
Yeah, definitely. But, I mean, it was definitely refreshing that they were a little bit more, like, liberal with their language. It's like you said, it does make it feel much more. And it does make it feel much more authentic to how kids, teenagers specifically in high school speak, which I think the general setting of the school did a pretty good job of making the school seem like really, like an authentic high school. I especially love the fact that, like, there's those teachers who just did not give a shit. So when something happened, like something either exploded, like Pete exploded something, or he did something, and I'm just like, why is this teacher in like the wood shop?
Oh yeah, the wood shop teacher when Pete shot the little alien tech out. There
you go. And then the teacher's just like, just make sure your fingers stay clear of any important whatever. I'm just like, thank you, teacher. I'm glad that you have your priorities set out. Honestly, like, as long as no students lose a finger on my watch, we're good.
Yeah, I actually did have professors like that kind of in college, which is funny. In the lab, the science lab, too. It's just like, make sure you've got your gloves and goggles on. Don't blow anything up.
But besides that, yeah, out of those 3 general rules, go crazy. Discover, create uranium or whatever. I don't know. But, yeah, I was just like, yeah, they did a really good job in general of making the high school setting seem really authentic.
Yeah. So Ned, May, and RDJ. What are your thoughts on them?
I liked.
I didn't
Um,
hate Ned, which is good.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hate Ned, which is good because going in, I'd been just reaming this movie because he was basically Genki, and he still basically was, but he didn't get on my nerves. He actually made me. He felt like a decent friend.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he was a really good friend, and I like the fact that he brings something to the team because a lot of times when you have that guy in the chair, he just kind of it's the main character who's doing all the stuff, like who's doing all the thinking, and the guy in the chair is essentially just executing the thinking. But I like how he actually helped Peter out because he's like, Peter, you are aware that like the suit has a whole bunch of like restraints on it, right? And he's like, oh my god, can you take them off? So like in this like film, Ned is actually kind of the computer geek guy and is like good at doing stuff that Peter isn't good at doing. And they kind of just can form a team because of that. And I was like, yes, he's bringing something to the table. He's not just the, I'm too lazy to finish, or I have too much stuff on my hands, so do this for me guy. Which a lot of times like that side helping character tends to be.
Yeah. So, and he wasn't useless. He wasn't like Quippington the whole time, which was also good. Ned didn't get on my nerves. I love Hot May.
I
She
love
dresses
her too.
she dresses like an old lady, but she's everyone loved Hot May.
Exactly. Even the Thai guy, the Thai restaurant guy,
Yeah.
loved Hot May.
Yeah, he what was it? He lobed her.
He lobed her.
So,
We all
I
lobed on Hot May.
we all love lobe Hot May, but I don't think she honestly. No, I don't know why people complained. They're like, oh, she's too young. I'm like, dude, she's 50. Like, I remember
Yeah.
watching her on the first season of A Different World. That's how I knew she knew how to dance. I'm like, oh, nah, dude, I saw her. She went to college with black people. She knew.
I like the fact that they did kind of like age her a little bit because in Civil War, I do kind of agree they made her look a little like
They
they made
made her
her look
too
like kind of more
beautiful.
put together. But I'm thinking maybe they kind of made her look a little bit more distressed, and she is still fighting with all of the stuff that led that led to Spider-Man having his powers, you know, with Uncle Ben passing away and stuff like that. So, like, I like the fact that she maybe has decided to wear regular glasses instead of contacts, and then her hair is kind of, I don't know if you noticed, it was kind of frayed, like a little, like...
It was a tiny bit in a couple scenes, which...
yeah. Which I'm like, that's good, because a person wouldn't be as put together when, you know, the person that you're with for a good part of your life is suddenly gone. You wouldn't be like perfectly groomed and shined and whatever.
So and I like that their dynamic actually seemed a lot more like a mother son, but you could tell there was that little bit of distance that an aunt and a nephew would have.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the fact that I really like they really made me feel like their relationship was real. I'm just like, wait, Tom Holland is not actually related to Marissa Tomei? What?
They kind of look like they could be. They have same color hair and eyes.
Exactly. It's just like,
have this like
they're
positive energy about them. But against May, we have Tony, and you talked about it a little bit. I wish they hadn't shown the beginning snippet of that conversation that Tony has, because when I saw the full part in the theater, I thought it was beautifully like impactful. Like that part, I'm starting to kind of understand why people really want Tony to be his mentor. Like I get it, he looks up to him, but when he delivered those lines and he was talking about how important, you know, it was to him and how he didn't want to lose anyone. Like that actually really hit home, and that's a testament to how good the chemistry is between Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. But I also see what you were saying about them having him in it a little too much. I didn't have a problem with it. I hated that they marketed it that way though, and I think they showed too much beforehand.
My biggest gripe was kind of at the end where I was like, oh, if we get more Tony Stark, like I was kind of sick of this movie, was in the end where they were going to do the press conference, and then all of a sudden, I guess we're left to assume that Tony finally proposes to Pepper.
Oh
so
yeah, who just shows up at the end, who got billing higher than most of the other cast, despite her being there for 3 minutes.
that's the thing that pisses me off, because I'm like, now fuck, fuck Tom Holland. Like, what's going on here? Like, when did they get back together? How did they get back together? How did the press receive it?
It was 2 months after Civil War, clearly.
Yeah, so I'm, like, no longer invested in what there's in Peter Parker. I'm like, I want to know. This needs to be a thing that I'm less, like, I want to know what happened. So that's kind of what I feel like, Pete got his thunder stolen a little bit, but...
That is a little distracting.
It is what it is. But yeah, I definitely do agree. The trailer, I feel, doesn't really do the Tony and Parker's relationship justice, because it does make it seem like, oh, it's just going to be him telling him what to do. But then when you watch, like, the trailer bits in context, you kind of are like, okay, I get it. Because at this point, Tony kind of doesn't want to have any more casualties on his hands. Like, after all of the Segovia, like, things happen, he just kind of is like, I'm done with being the person who's the reason why all these people I care about are getting hurt. And so he's kind of just trying to do damage control to what he believes is the best of his ability.
Yeah, so let's get to the biggest ones, I'd say.
Okay.
What did you think about the story, and what do you think about Tom Holland? Personally, Tom is, as much as I love TASM 1, Tom is the best, uncontested. I think
I love Tom in this.
I think it was fantastic.
Role. I think he did a really good job capturing what Toby's awkwardness, to the point where it kind of becomes a little cringy. Because that's how I feel that Peter is. He's a little awkward, especially when he's young Peter like this.
He got that invisible thing that Garfield kind of had.
And then the same thing he has kind of like Garfield's because let's be honest, if you're to be a teenager who suddenly discover that they have powers, like, you would definitely abuse.
You're going to be so cocky about stuff.
And you're going to be cocky about it, exactly. And Andrew Garfield did a really good job of getting, like, Peter's sarcasm and cockiness down. Ugh. So I like the fact that Tom kind of is a nice balanced combination of both of them.
Yeah, and the thing is, when the way he would do his hair, I could see both of them, when he would have his hair coiffed, I'm like, oh, that looks like Pete. And then he would, like, wake up with it shaggy. I'm like, and then, or like, there's Toby, and then there's Andrew. Like,
exactly.
You could see a little inspiration from them in little moments and tiny homages and stuff. But then you would see, like, Tom Holland really made this his own. Exactly. And honestly, this is, and like, story-wise, I like that it is, what I've heard a lot from a lot of people is that it's not so much a Spider-Man movie, it's like the Becoming Spider-Man movie. So it's different with the other, like, movies and, like, the first reboot where it's like, we're going to do the whole origin all over again. But they kind of they went around it, and instead of doing the origin of, like, oh, this is how Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man, this is Peter Parker, this is, like, Becoming Spider-Man, just the story. Like, they bring it up in passing when he's telling Nate, he's like, I got bit by a radioactive spider. I'm like, good, that's all you need to say about it. Like,
exactly.
I like that it's...
I just thought to myself, like, God, if I see Uncle Ben die again, I will, I don't know, hurl rice over a bridge or something. Like, I cannot
over
stand
a bridge.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I could not stand him passing away again. Like, it just hurts too much at the heartstrings, And then also with great power comes great responsibility talk, that we all know.
And they didn't use that. They referenced a scene from the comics. Someone said it was issue 33 or something, I think, where he has to hoist up the big thing. And that was the moment I saw Tom, like, really shine, when he was just a scared kid.
Exactly.
When he was underneath it. And then, oddly enough, Tony's words, not Uncle Ben's, echo through his mind. He's like, it's like, if you don't have the suit, like, if you need the suit to be a hero, then you don't deserve it. And I'm like, that's an almost good replacement to great power. Almost, there must come great responsibility. Not as good. Doesn't roll off the tongue as well, but But because seeing Tom be like that kid was just great.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they did, like, in the storyline, I feel that it was pretty balanced. So you have some of him, like, using his powers for his own, maybe you can say social, like, in real life social benefits, where he's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to say, oh yeah, I'm totally friends with Peter Parker, you know, at that party. But at the same time, he's coming into his own and he's learning what it means to be a superhero, but without having really to start at the origin from the spider biting him and all that stuff, which is really, it's refreshing for basically what is another like reboot of a franchise.
Yeah, so with the last few minutes that we kind of have here, I don't think we have a lot to say. That's why I saved it for the end. Is like, what did you not like about it? If I had any issue, and honestly, they're like really nitpicky. I think they relied on CGI a little too much. Was a thing for me. And during some of the action scenes, it was a little too shaky cam. I like the fights. One of the complaints I heard is that the fights aren't that memorable. And the reason I kind of excuse that one is because this Pete seems a lot stronger than the other Peters we've seen before. And he's just it's kind of easy for him. This isn't real fights because most of these are just people. Like the only time he really kind of had to fight someone was up against Shocker or up against Vulture. But when he was fighting the bank robbers, like that wasn't much of a fight because they're dudes. Or when he was on the tanker, those were also like just dudes. But like, I think my biggest issues were probably with just a little too much relying on the CGI, which I know they did that in Civil War and they're going to do it for Infinity War. But what about you?
I don't know exactly, and I'm not completely sure. So some of you guys can help me. But was Tom Holland's accent like on point the whole movie? I could swear that part of it. Mind you, I watched this really late.
It went out in the beginning. I heard
in the beginning. Okay, thank God. I'm not going crazy. I'm like, I could swear that in the beginning I could hear some like British coming through.
It came through when he's holding the camera. He's like, it was the greatest thing. I'm like, oh, there it goes. There goes that accent.
They go, hello. Yeah. Okay.
Like,
okay.
Oh, hello. He's English, but he kept it for most of the movie. It's like tiny words.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to since there's a difference in between like the openness of the vocals. So I'm like, I get it. It comes through. It's not a huge gripe. Like I said, the Robert Downey Jr. in the end was just kind of a little like it was kind of a little annoying for me. You know what? A big one, not a big one, but like I guess a little one was there's like the scene in which Aunt May like basically freaks out when she's like, dude, I've been calling all of your friends. I've called the police. I called like everyone. Where have you been? Like, and then he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't need to. But here's the thing. Hold on. The thing is, I felt like that was too early in the film. Like at that point, I felt that scene felt a little flat, just because they hadn't had quite a lot of chemistry between them. Had it come maybe a little bit later on in the film, I felt that it would have struck a little bit better with me personally. Yeah, but, that was kind of my other little gripe.
Yeah. Honestly, before we close out, I also want to bring up Donald Glover. I like that they referenced Miles. Definitely. On his little sheet, it said Aaron the Prowler Davis. I'm like, so you... And he's like, oh, the way he talked had me kind of laughing because he picked this really specific sort of Atlanta-ish way of talking. He's like, yeah, I got this nephew down. It's like, over in Brooklyn, I got to take care of my family, dog. I'm like... Under the way it was performed was really funny to me. And the one other thing, which someone actually had asked about, was if he got a new suit at the end of Homecoming. They had asked if we would want to be the symbiote suit or the Iron Spider. So we see the suit at the end, and I was curious what you thought about it. I've heard people say it is one of their new favorite suits. I am anxiously anticipating seeing a bunch of Spider-Man cosplayers make that suit within the next week and a half or so. I don't mind the design. It's not that bad. It reminds me of Future Foundation, but what did you think about it?
I had a moment in which I briefly thought I was going to lose a friendship because my friend and I, who went to go watch the movie, at the same time she said, that is so cool. That's like the sickest thing I've ever seen. And I said at the same time, that is the ugliest thing I have ever seen in my whole entire life. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that
I think.
Maybe, but I think a lot of that has to do with it's Iron Man suits with some spider accents. You know, that's kind of the way I see it. So it's like,
and that's what the Iron Spider suit is, essentially. It's red gold, like Iron Man, and has tentacles, clearly like Iron Man.
I think it kind of depends on if you like Iron Man, then you'll probably like the suit. But me, I don't quite like him as a character, so that's probably why. I'm totally biased, and I'm aware that I'm biased, but it is the way that I feel.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be it. I don't think we have time for questions because Nick is already upset that this is running so late, so I don't want to piss him off any further. But that has been our show. If you would like to ask questions, you can comment down below with the hashtag AskMarvelite, and like and subscribe to our channel, Hybrid Network. Do you have social media that you want them to find you at?
I am on Instagram and Twitter, AUSOME Cookie. Specific spelling. Look for me there.
Specific spelling. And if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram and YouTube, all under Will the Greatest. So that has been our show. I will see you guys next time. Later.
Bye-bye.